Bible poems, Galatians. Paul, apoplectic. How dare they muck up the gospel? God-given are his apostleship and gospel. Jesus Christ gave himself for sins on our behalf, rescuing us from the present evil to the glory of God his Father. But the Galatians are already turning to a different gospel, no gospel. Faith unbalanced by teachers whose add-ons are actually takeaways. Even if Paul or an angel changed it, let them be anathema. The gospel changed him from ravaging Christ's church out of zeal for his Jewish traditions to a grace-filled believer and preacher to the Gentiles. What came by God's direct revelation was authenticated in due course and received the approval of Jerusalem apostles. Paul's Gentile Christian companion Titus was not made to be circumcised, though others tried to make him. Don't forget our poor, was all they asked. That should have been the end of it, but visiting Antioch, brimming with Gentile Christians, Peter first enjoyed table fellowship with these, but stopped when Jewish Christians from Jerusalem and James objected. Even Barnabas followed suit. Paul had soon put a stop to that. It wasn't the law that saved us Jews from sin. We were justified by faith in Jesus Christ. Once the building blocks of law tumbled, they could never be rebuilt. Paul died to that attempt when crucified with Christ, and with all believers found new life in him. Life now is lived by faith in God's Son, who loved us and gave himself for us. Are they saying Christ didn't need to die? You mugs, Galatians, you had Christ's cross explained. Do you remember when the Spirit came? Wasn't that when you heard the message and believed, not by trying to keep the law? The Spirit wasn't just how we started, but how we continue. Even now, you see those works of power. Okay, so someone has told you that to be real children of Abraham, you need an operation. No, you become a child of Abraham when you do what Abraham did. Believe. Don't you remember that all the nations would be blessed in finding faith in Abraham's God? That's where you come in, not mimicking his circumcision. That came later anyway. If you go the route of law, you have to keep the whole of it. If you fail, you're cursed. That's the curse Christ saved us from. In fact, he took the curse on Calvary's tree. It's all there in Deuteronomy. Now the blessing promised to Abraham was fulfilled in the coming bride Christ of the Spirit. Soon we'll think about that more. But first, since Abraham is on the agenda, remember the law of Moses coming later never took away God's promise. The law played its part in showing us God's standards, restraining sin, pointing forward, taking us by the hand even to lead us to Christ Jesus. That was before. We are in the after. one way only for all to become God's children, through faith in this same Christ Jesus. The way in sign now just baptism, the playing field levelled for Jew and Greek, men and women, slave and free. All Abraham's new children through Christ, his true descendant. Now, in God's good time, Christ has come, born of a, yes, Jewish mother, to bring redemption. Together, we have two former states mingled: slavery to the law or to elemental principles. To return to one will lead you back to the other. This must not be for God's freed children, filled with the Spirit of his Son, now crying, Abba. Forget the festival days and monthly observations. They should recall their early love for Paul, their broken messenger. What's changed? I am like a mother, wondering if she must bear her child again till Christ be formed in you. Now here's another Abraham story. He had two sons, each with a mother. One was born the usual way, the other, Isaac, from trusting God until a miracle took place. We are the miracle children. Time to cast out those who would lead you back to slavery. We grow not by the law, but by crucifying self with Christ, letting the Spirit, not the law, rule our lives and changing our behaviour. The only thing that counts is the faith that works in love. Your race was going well. Who tripped you up? The leaven of false teaching is spreading like a virus, avoiding persecution by leaving out the cross. If they want to start cutting themselves, Paul wishes they'd cut off their own. Live in freedom, not indulgence. Take the Spirit's side against all bad behaviour and bear the Spirit's fruit. Love, joy, peace, and all the rest are not against the law, but the law could never give them. Pace yourselves by the Spirit. Let him be your guide. Banish envy. Restore the fallen. Share each other's burdens. Beware temptation. Guard yourselves. Keep sowing to the Spirit, and you will reap a harvest. Do good at every opportunity. Care especially for your Christian sisters and brothers. Paul takes the pen from his scribe and signs off in his large letters. But first, I really mean it. More is less. Add the need for circumcision and you lose Christ and his cross. If you have it already, fine. If you don't, fine. What matters is a new creation. I have suffered for this faith. Don't let those who just want to avoid such suffering rob you of God's grace.